Welcome everyone to our first West Region Learning Community meeting for 2021. We all had high hopes for 2021 that it was going to be a better year than 2020. So far, there have been a few positives like some good Senate elections and an upcoming inauguration, but there have been some severe challenges. I just want to acknowledge the magnitude of what happened at the Capitol last week and the clear racial overtones, and it's extraordinarily disturbing to see such a enormous demonstration of white supremacy on television happening at our Capitol, something that is going to have profound ramifications for a long time. So just want to acknowledge that although we are all trying to do our work, progress forward, and participate positively in the public discourse, there's real trauma going on. I want to acknowledge that trauma, both for many of us as collaborative members, and also certainly for the folks that we serve. So on that note, one of the things we participated in a training last year on how to move towards being a more trauma healing organization. And for those of you that have studied trauma-informed systems, there's kind of three phases to being a trauma-informed organization. The first is, your organization is in a position where you may be trauma inducing, where there may be policies, procedures, practices that are causing trauma in the community. There's a lot of acknowledgement and work that goes with that. Then there's kind of the trauma informed phase where the organization is really trying to learn, and folks within the organization are trying to acknowledge and build different practices. And then there's the trauma healing phase where interactions between folks in the community and folks in your organizations actually promote healing. And we learned a couple of practical exercises to do at various times that move towards a more trauma healing phase. And one of those exercises is called Moment to Arrive. It's something to do at the beginning of a meeting to help to reflect and center ourselves. A lot of times we're running like crazy, either in person or virtually, from meeting to meeting. We've barely absorbed the conversation or the action items from the last meeting. When we're jumping into a new one, our minds often have very little time to reorient ourselves. So we're just going to do a quick exercise. All we're going to do is I'm going to ask everyone, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes, hands on the arms of your chair, feet flat on the floor. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, you can just kind of stare into the distance at something neutral, maybe turn away a little bit from the computer so you're not staring at the monitor. I'm going to ask everyone just to take one deep breath in and kind of hold that a little bit at the top and release that breath. Now I'm going to ask you to, and just keep breathing very gently, nice full breaths. Hold as your lungs are full, and actually hold a little bit at the end as well when your lungs are empty, and let your body tell you when it needs to breathe in again. And now, with your eyes closed or staring off into the distance, I just want you to picture a favorite place that you've been to or that you can imagine in your mind. It could be a spot that you've been to on vacation. It could be a favorite place that you love to walk or hike. Could just be in your favorite chair in the living room. But just picture yourself in that place. Really see the details. Are you standing or sitting? What are the smells like around you? What are the different colors that you're seeing? What are the sounds that you hear? What are you touching? Are your feet on the floor or on the earth? Are your hands reaching out and touching anything? Are you walking through the picture? And just continue that nice deep breathing. And really see yourself. And just recall how good it feels to be in this place and how much you enjoy it, how you feel when you're there. Okay, and let's take one last deep breath in and hold it at the top. And then a nice slow breath out and hold at the bottom as well. And then when you're ready, open your eyes, bring yourself back to the computer screen. And welcome. If when you return to the computer screen, if you could take a moment just to type in your name and organization into the chat box. We just want to acknowledge everyone that's here and really see if you feel comfortable. We'd love to have you turn on your screen. It's your camera. It's great to see each other. If you prefer not to do that, also totally okay. Just as a heads up, in a little while, we're going to be doing some breakouts. And if you could turn on your camera at least during the breakouts, that would be great. So just to think ahead. And it's okay if you're drinking coffee or tea or something else. We'll I have my big mug here as well. Great. So I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. And we're going to try some of this polling, and there'll be some polling instructions on the screen in a moment. And again, welcome to our West Region Learning Community meeting for today. Okay, so there are two ways to join. The first is if you prefer to use your computer to respond to the polls, you can go to pollev.com and type in PhD CLI as the code. If you're texting, ignore what you see on the screen. You need to text PhD CLI to 22333. So if everyone can just open up an extra tab on their web browser and go to, so you have to choose one or the other of your preferred ways of responding. Definitely don't do both. So if you'd like to do it via the web, go to pollev.com and type in PhD CLI, or on your cell phone, type PhD CLI and text it to 22333. And is anybody having any trouble with this? Just want to do a quick check-in. We're going to do a little test poll in just a moment. So this will be the chance. Think about what your, remember what your response is when we do this test poll to see if it pops up on the screen. Okay, so we have here our first test poll, which is what is your favorite vacation destination in the West region of the United States? So thinking about where we're all located, just want to get some ideas up there about our great Western region. What is your favorite vacation destination in the West? Oh, Disneyland, yay. Great, it looks like lots of responses are coming in and this appears to be working well. Unfortunately, it doesn't understand that like things like San Francisco and Santa Cruz are the same words, but ooh, Zion, nice. Seattle, Taos, Tahoe, lots of beaches and parks, Denver, San Francisco, Santa Cruz, the phenomenal Oregon. Awesome. I assume Santa Barbara on there. I assume Point Reyes, maybe. I don't know what Rogue is, but that sounds fun. Great. Oh, wherever. Awesome. I love it. Just to get away. Great. Well, thank you all for doing this test poll just to try things out. Again, just as a quick reminder before we jump into the topics, if anyone hasn't done so yet, please type your name and organization into the chat box. And if you're just joining and wondering what's going on with this polling, you have two choices. You can, on your web browser, you can go to pollev.com and type in PhD CLI as your code, or you could text PhD CLI to 22333. And these reminders will be at the top of your screen each time we do these polling slides. So that way I won't keep repeating it. Okay, we're going to jump into the first part of our agenda, which is going to be talking a little bit about group sites. So our first, sorry, oh my gosh. So another polling question, and you can see here, what specific types of support would help you to use the group site most efficiently? So we've noticed that there hasn't been a ton of engagement over the past couple months, and we know the site is new, and it may be a tool of a particular web tool that many of you haven't used before. So as CBA providers, we're interested in what specific types of support would help you to use the group site most efficiently. So feel free to go ahead and type that in, whether you're using the web browser or your text response. Okay, I see responses starting to come in. And feel free, if something is already on there and you want to repeat it for emphasis, always a good thing. A quick video tutorial about the main parts of the site, education on what is the point of the site, a good directory of members, some type of guided activity, a webinar on how to use it, time to use it, always a good thing. Being able to work group site more into my daily routine. So how to really do that.
These are all clean, I promise.
Oh, I think someone's off mute, but.
Thank you, you're welcome.
General discussion board with ease of creating topic threads, some guided activities, clarity of purpose. Anything else that would be helpful in using the site most efficiently? Whoops, shoot. My PowerPoint is very sensitive. Okay, these are great. And we will talk, as CBA providers, we'll talk a little bit amongst ourselves. We were brainstorming a little bit as well. on our last joint CBA provider call and with the community caretakers for the site. And the idea of some very brief video tutorials, like literally maximum 2 to 3 minutes long each on different parts of the site did come up. And I love what you all are saying about the clarity of the purpose of the site, how it benefits you and your staff, and how to work it into a regular routine. Doesn't need to be daily, but how to work it into a regular routine is a great idea. So yeah, super short videos. So next question, and this is more focused on HIV prevention tools. So what types of resources could be shared via the group site that would assist your work right now, that would be of immediate assistance to? Is it a particular tool, a protocol, a guidance document? Is it copies of CDC, dear colleague letters, so we have everything in one place? Is it, examples of things that other jurisdictions are doing? What specific, and try to be as specific as possible, types of resources could be shared via the group site that would assist your work immediately, that you would be like, I'm going to download this. This is going to be something that I'm going to show my staff or use and integrate into the work I'm trying to do right now. So we'll give you a few minutes to ponder on that. Great question. The current funding source that we're supporting for this community is the 18-1802 grants that go directly to the health departments. I'm going to get the number wrong, but the funding that goes directly to community-based organizations from the CDC, and the funding that goes to the CBA providers, 19-1904, for the HIV prevention work that we're doing as well. And then there's some supplemental funding around ending the epidemic that goes specifically to our partners at California Prevention Training Center, and that EHE jurisdictions in the West are involved in. So is there anything, you're welcome. Is there anything that would be really helpful to your work right now? Like, I would love to see somebody's PrEP protocol for their municipal STD clinic. I would love to see somebody's public health detailing materials. What specific? A guide to setting up home testing, anything. Anything and everything to help us meet our deliverables. Absolutely. Is there any particular deliverable that you're focused on right now that we could provide something on? Work plans or examples of available technical assistance. Awesome. Guidelines for distance HIV testing. Excellent. Agreements with labs to provide data on results from self-tests submitted. Excellent. Public health detailing and provider participation during COVID, how jurisdictions are implementing their work and hiring staff given the pandemic. We'll give just another moment more. I know you all are thinking.
And this is a great list. Thank you so much for sharing this. If you put something in there, like the guidelines for distance HIV testing, say a little bit more about that, just because we want to ensure that we are providing you what you want. That way.
How to train new HIV testers through distance learning. Love it. PrEP public health detailing materials. Awesome.
And this is not your only time. If you can't think of something, you can post on group site. We like to call group site the hub, but you can post on a group site later on some of your ideas.
Yeah, and we'll show you, we'll walk through. Thank you, Ty, for pointing that out. That's really critical. We'll actually look at group site in a moment. And in the discussion forums are places where we'll show you, you can post a question at any time to inquire if somebody has a tool or a resource around something that you need. So thank you all for these items. Methods to reach out to non-Ryan-White clinics serving persons living with DH. Prep resources, specific Black African American community, and separately prep resources for the aging population. Diagnosed HIV, not sure what that refers to. Are you referring to like test to treat or rapid initiation of antiretrovirals?
I think that's going on to methods to reach out to non-Ryan-White clinics, Gary.
Oh, I was sorry. I was looking at the diagnosed HIV comment.
Yeah, I think that's that DH.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah.
Oh. Persons living with diagnosed HIV. Got it. PLWDH. Thank you for educating me on that one. Addressing medical mistrust. Yeah, thank you for giving me the acronym again. Sorry about that. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. Special considerations for PrEP navigation during COVID. Great. Telehealth and HIV counseling. Excellent. We had a great session on that in the fall. And we can continue those conversations. Great. These are great ideas. And we'll show you in a moment where you can continue to contribute these. But as the CBA providers, we will take these and see if there are some existing tools or resources that we can post right away in the group site. So look for everyone who's a part of group site should be getting either a bi-weekly or a weekly summary, depending on frequency you selected. So as we post new things, you'll see that in your email as well. So I want to actually go to the site right now. So if I'm going to stop the slide sharing.
As you do that, Gary, and as you're going to go in to speak on group site, I just saw something from Lori, and
Great.
She made mention around if we could present more around the parameters or the focus of this learning community, and I think group site may lead to that. And I see that John Murphy from New Mexico, and thank you, John, provided more what New Mexico is doing, I guess, to give Lori more of a insight of what this learning community experience could be. But it was more around how they use HIV testing training But yeah, I just wanted to share what was in the chat box.
Great. Oh, thank you for catching that, Anshay. I appreciate it. So folks, you can go to groupsite.com and sign in there, or you can go to gowest.groupsite.com, and that will be your direct link to our site. So gowest.groupsite.com. And if you're not a member of the site currently, when you type in that address, it will ask you if you would like to request to join. So if any of you go to gowest.groupsite.com right now, and it says you need to request, please request immediately. We will jump in and accept you ASAP. But this is what the site looks like when you first log in. Just wanted to give you a heads up on some of the updates that we're making to the site and just remind you of a couple of resources. So we have a little welcome section here that's really brief. We're going to expand this welcome section. It's going to contain information about why this site is important and why you might want to use it and how to incorporate it into your regular work. There are also going to be, when we do those brief videos that you suggested about how to use various parts of the site, those will be linked there as well. So in this nice welcome section right at the beginning, you'll see some things. Currently, if anyone wanted to share resources or tools or materials that you already have in your jurisdiction around any of these 6 content areas, you can click on these icons. If you would like to see what's available that others have shared around these topics, you can click on these icons as well. These are shortcuts to a nice file cabinet or resource library or whatever we want to call it, where folks can share materials. And when you click on each topic, you'll see that there are some subtopics available to you. We're just trying to keep things as organized as possible. So if you were looking for things around the PrEP Institute, or you were looking for something around PrEP adherence, or PrEP awareness campaigns, you can go here. We are just starting to populate these with resources we have as SFDPH providers. To truly be a resource library, these need to be populated as well by you as jurisdictions. So if you have an existing PrEP awareness campaign, for example, we'd love to see you update copies of your current PrEP awareness campaign to this folder so that folks can see and then reach out and talk to you if they have questions around how you develop that, or whether they can maybe use some of your materials, because imitation is this most sincere form of flattery. So that's the resource section. So going back to the dashboard here, we'll always bring you to this home page. We'll always have upcoming events here on the right, like our learning community today, and anything else that's coming up, links to the key SFDPH providers, and links to key things for you to request technical assistance through the SFDPH tracking system, or CTS. The other thing I just wanted to point out today, there are these things called discussion forums. So you'll see there's one on home HIV testing. So we posted an initial question for this home HIV testing forum, like, is your health department currently doing this? Which tests are you using? Who are you working with to distribute test kits? So we posted some questions in here, and folks have been beginning to respond. Thank you, Dana and Preston and Patrick and Jeffrey, who are all sharing this information. At any time, any of you can go into these discussion forums and post a question. People will see that in their summaries that they get via their email, and they can reply to it. When you reply, and I'll just show you a little reply box down here, you just type it straight in and click submit. You can also, do some traditional things like bold and italicize. You can link to things on the web. You can do some bullets. You can attach a file. So if someone's talking about, hey, we're interested in a PrEP protocol for our municipal STI clinic, someone might say, we have one of those, and just attach it right here so that folks can see that. So we'll talk about this more. We'll be doing the community caretakers from each site. Will be reaching out to all of you and really encouraging you to upload things to the site, post questions that you have, problem solve if you're having any issues with the site. And so I just wanted to go around for a second and have the community caretakers that are on the call just introduce themselves, name and which SFDPH provider they're from. And if any caretaker is not on the call, if the SFDPH manager could just add in who that person is. But I know the 2 community caretakers for San Francisco are on the line. So if you want to unmute first and just introduce yourselves so folks know who you are.
Everyone, my name is Jesus. I'm the SFDPH coordinator here at SFDPH, and I'm one of the caretakers from the San Francisco side.
Hi, everyone. My name is Frida Rajab. I am the program associate at San Francisco Department of Public Health, SFDPH, and I'm a caretaker, and I will be helping you with whichever questions you have. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Azul Del Grasso from Denver Prevention Training Center, a senior trainer here and one of the caretakers for the site.
And our other caretaker from Denver, Victoria Myers, couldn't be here today, but she's also a caretaker. So I am a poor substitute for her, but my name is Ty.
And Anche?
Oh, hey, I see that Catalina, and I didn't see Laura, but I see Catalina's on, so I didn't know if Catalina, if you want to introduce.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry, I've been having internet issues, so I just popped on. I'm missing a bit of context, but I'm Catalina, and I work at the California Prevention Training Center, and I'm supporting things on this end.
Great. Yeah, we're introducing the community caretakers for the community. So
Oh,
thank you.
fantastic. Yeah, Laura and I are community caretakers here.
Since Laura's not on, do you just want to say who your co-caretaker is?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Laura, there you are. Hey.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, not much to add. I'm Laura Lazar. I'm at the California Prevention Training Center with Catalina. And yeah, I'm one of the community caretakers.
Great. And so definitely look for those folks reaching out to you at various times, and they are your go-to in terms of what's happening with the community. So just so we have enough time for breakouts, I'm going to jump into the next agenda item for us, which is the West Regional Plan draft. So we're just showing you a couple of elements from the West Regional Plan that we've submitted so far to the CDC. This is something that we have to submit annually, and it contains 3 major parts. Currently, there's one little caveat as you look at this first section. So I'll go into that when we get there, but the West Regional Plan is really just meant to be an overview of the high-level priorities and activities that are happening in the West region of the US with our combined CBA and Health Department and CBO powers. So the first thing that was identified are training and technical assistance needs. So those are going to be on separate slides. And this is where there's a little bit of a caveat. The CDC requires that we create the regional plan based on jurisdictional plans, the ones that we've created with each of your health departments in conjunction with you, those Excel spreadsheets that we're all such a fan of. Once those are approved by CDC, then we can integrate the priorities from those into the regional plan. Sounds like a weird step, but so these are just the things that have come from the plans that have been approved by CDC so far, which is about 50% of the state plans in the West. The rest are in process of being approved, and we will update the regional plan accordingly when they are. Just want to let everybody know, just because your plan is not approved by CDC doesn't mean we're not working with you on it. CDC has provided an option where CBA providers and jurisdictions can work together actively on training and technical assistance requests from plans that have not yet been approved. We just track those on a spreadsheet rather than in CTS, just an administrative issue. But just want to communicate very clearly, as CBA providers, we can work with you on any item that you've identified in your jurisdictional plan spreadsheet, or any late breaker thing that pops up that you need assistance with. We can help you with any of those items immediately through each of our CBA providers. This is just paperwork, letting this regional plan. So some of you identified some formal training in some EBIs that are needed. So this is just some of what's been requested so far from the jurisdictions, and the technical assistance needs. So from track A, as you recall, so Denver Prevention Training Center is the CBA provider for track A. They provide technical assistance in 2 main areas, HIV testing in clinical settings and prevention with HIV positive individuals. And these are just some of the priorities that have come up so this is not a summary of all the priorities that have come up. these are things that either a number of jurisdictions mentioned that they wanted support with, or people talked about these are critically important to implement sooner rather than later. Ty, just wanted to pause for a moment if there's just anything you want to add around these Track A priorities. If not, happy to just move to Track B.
There's nothing I wanted to add about the Track A, but I do want to just add some clarification. Can you go back one slide there, Gary? To the training needs?
Yes. Sorry, hold on one second.
So as Gary's doing that, right, as you all know, the National Classroom Learning Center, which is the training arm of the SFDPH project right now, they are slowly rolling out online courses. And right now, I believe Artist is available. The group level interventions like Many Men, Many Voices, Healthy Relationships, they are not currently available through the National Classroom Learning Center, and we do not know when those trainings will be live again or even online. So just wanted to put that out there, but that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Thank you, Ty. And that reminds me, two things. One, we're sharing these regional plan things with you all right now because we want to be totally transparent. We are a team and a family here in the West between the SFDPH providers, the health departments, the cities, the EHE jurisdictions, the CBOs. We want you to see the full breadth of what's going on and what's happening so that if you want to be involved in any of these topics, whether it's training or technical assistance, or you're like, hey, I see a couple health departments are working on Artists. We didn't even think about that for our health department. We want to get involved in that too. We want to be as transparent as possible. And in that vein of transparency, one of the things around these EBI curricula that several of you have brought forward, especially CBOs, is how do we maintain the fidelity of some of these interventions in our communities during the pandemic when we cannot gather in person? And how do we shift some of these strategies to virtual? We have brought that issue to CDC in a priority manner, and CDC is coming back to us as SFDPH providers with a discussion tomorrow on some of their expectations, thoughts, opportunities, concerns around doing EBI content virtually while implementing EBIs virtually during the pandemic. So look for more information on that. And as CDC continues to give guidance or we come up with strategies, we will, as SFDPH providers, post that information and ask questions of you all, et cetera, through the group site. So definitely look for more information on that, especially since that call is happening tomorrow. Okay, so Track B, that's San Francisco Department of Public Health. Our priority areas are HIV testing in non-clinical settings and prevention with HIV negative individuals. So these are some of the issues that have come up as some high level priorities or things that multiple jurisdictions have indicated that they're interested in. SNS has been a really, really strong one with a lot of interest. So look for some more on that. And then Track C is facilitated by our partners at the California Prevention Training Center, and their two areas of focus are integrated HIV programs and structural interventions. And here is some of the stuff that has come up there. And so Anshe, I will just turn it over to you in case there's anything that you want to mention about these priorities, et cetera.
Yeah, no, this is all right. And thank you so much, Gary. And the other thing I'll just make mention is that we have supplemental funds, right, under Track C, as a Track C provider to work with the EHE counties in the West region. So as you see, community engagement for molecular surveillance or cluster detection and response, we are also working with those EHE counties, which are 11. And some of you are on the call and been active engaging with us, but around community engagement for our EHE response, particularly phase 1. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Anshe.
Gary, yes, we are a family. I almost want to sing that song from Dreamgirls. So yeah.
Please do at any time. So the next item, for some reason, I need to click on my slide. So there's a second area. So training and technical assistance, the first part of the regional plan. The second part of the regional plan are things that we are co-creating as CBA providers and health departments and CBOs here in the West. And one of the first things that we're co-creating together are these learning communities. And I know some of you have kind of been wondering, hey, I seem to be on several calls a month, and are these all learning communities, and which is which, and what am I a part of, and what's this call today? So there are currently 3 sprints going on under the umbrella of the West Region Learning Community. A sprint is a defined time period. It might be 3 months, it might be 6 months. It could be on a singular topic or cover several topics, but each of these sprints involves its own focus. So the first sprint that this call is today, and that you've all been part of since September, is what we call the health department sprint. So it's primarily health department members, although we're glad that some others are on the call today as well, both ATC, CBO, other partners who obviously work in collaboration daily with the health departments. We are doing this West Region planning session right now. And today we're going to decide what our potential topics are for February and March. And that will be the end of our sprint, September through March this year. We'll then decide as we go into year 3 of the grant, which starts in April, what our focus areas are then. And we'll decide that together as a group. There's currently, as Anshe was just mentioning, an ending the epidemic sprint going on based on some supplemental funding provided by CDC. The ending the epidemic sprint, and please feel free if I summarize anything incorrectly, Anshe, or you want to jump in. One of the primary, they had a December call. These are for the EHE jurisdictions only in the West. So there's some overlap to this call, some similar participants. The December and January calls are focused on planning and really bringing together this initial group of folks and focusing on what they're going to be doing. And then the February and March sessions are going to be around medical mistrust. So Anshe, I just wanted to allow you to jump on if there's anything I summarized incorrectly or that you want to add.
No, you're correct. Yeah. Our next one stint will just focus on, again, like setting the more around the parameters of what this learning community can look like, and then also, again, going right into the medical mistrust, and then leading to March where we have our symposium of the medical mistrust. So thank you, Gary. Thank you.
Yep. And then we have a public health detailing sprint going on that's been going on since last June. The group is deciding its focus areas for its January, February, and March calls right now. Additionally, we are, and we'll post this slide deck because I'm going to go through this quickly just so we can get to our breakouts. So you'll be able to reference this, don't worry. This will be posted in group site, but we're going to be doing some webinars and events between now and the end of March. So here are some of those topics. And as CBA providers, in conjunction with some of our AATC and other partners, we are developing some technical assistance products and capacity building event curricula. You'll see those here. Again, this is total transparency. We want you to see what's in development, because if any of these tools are going to be beneficial to your work and they're coming down the pike, as it were, and going to be available soon, we want you to know that so that you can time maybe some of the work that you'll be doing under your funding streams and work plan priorities to some of these resources. And so we're not reinventing the wheel. And if you're a partner on the call, like an AATC or any other of our partners that also provides TA, if you're developing something similar, we want you to know this too, so that we can collaborate together and talk about this. So again, this full list will be up on the group site. Sorry for going through it quickly. We're going to do just a breakout session right now. During that breakout session, we're going to address 2 questions. The first one is, what other webinar topics would be of interest to you, and what other tools and resources would help you to advance your work? And we'd like to do this in breakouts because we really want to encourage some conversation between folks. We also want you to get to know each other a little bit more if you don't. So this is just an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to exit the slide deck, and we'll prompt you with the questions again while you're in the group. But we're just going to quickly do a couple breakouts. This will be maybe like 4 minutes or so, and you'll see a countdown from 1 minute when you're going to be returning to the large group here. So that's when you know to wrap up your thoughts. Okay, here we go. Breakouts. Enjoy. And if you see something pop up on your screen, just click on it so that you can accept the breakout. Brian, if you want to accept your breakout, did you not see it? Laura, Leslie, Sabra, you may have stepped away from your computers for a moment. Brian, are you there? Kevin, did you not get your pop-up for your breakout group? Oh, saw your note, Sabra, no worries. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Okay. So this is the time to get out your tab for, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That was weird. Is everyone still there?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Oh, shoot. I don't know why I keep saying Zoom is quitting. Let's ignore that. Everything's going crazy right now. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Okay, so if you go to pollev.com or from your text, if you could please type in, based on what you discuss, what additional webinar or event topics would you like to see? And I'm going to go to show responses here. So what additional webinar or event topics would you like to see? And maybe if you're typing something that's more than one word, I don't know, we need to find a way to keep these things together. Home testing, best practices, PrEP, HIV testing, navigation, self-testing, re-engagement, HIV STI, dental care, re-engagement in care. NPEP, awesome. Okay, telehealth, great. And let's just pop to the next slide really quick. So what additional tools or resources would be helpful to your work? Tools or resources that you discussed in your small groups. So a tool on PrEP detailing in pharmacies, something on harm reduction, which may have been also left over from the webinar slide. So what specific tools or resources did you talk about in your group that might be helpful? U equals U, social media. Online HIV 101 for people new to the work. Condoms and Medicaid. Ooh, interesting. Anything else that folks discussed in your small group? Okay, so next, we're going to talk about three topics. Some of these three topics seem to be priority items that a majority of the jurisdictions are thinking about. Some of you talked about this shift to virtual earlier in the call today with some of your comments about how are folks continuing to do the work, to hire staff, to communicate effectively, to implement strategies as we're continuing to shift to virtual. So a couple of poll questions here for you to respond to. So we're going to go through a couple of quick poll things. So this is the time to have those thoughts flowing. So in the fall, we discussed, we had a session on shifting to virtual strategies to support your staff in the implementation of your work. So what virtual strategies have any of you used since that last session? What, if anything, have you tried to do virtually? And what strategies, tools, resources, anything you used to help do that work, your work virtually? I know y'all are doing something. So what virtual strategies have you used since last fall? Online, HIV training, testing, created online opportunities, anything else? High flex. Ooh, I don't even know what that is. Awesome. Any other particular tools or strategies that you're using to get your work done virtually? Can't believe no one said Zoom so far. That's an easy giveaway. Microsoft Teams, great. WebEx. Candy. Is there virtual Candy? Asana. Oh, electronic signature, virtual electronic signatures, digital signatures. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so next one. What specific, and try to be as specific as possible, types of support do you need to continue to implement your work virtually? So kind of the comment that someone had made at the beginning of this call, we're all trying to support our staff and implement strategies that are in our work plans virtually. What specific type of support do you need to be able to continue to implement your work virtually? Where are you stuck? Is there any training that would be helpful or technical assistance? Is there any demos? Is there any, do you want technical assistance on a particular strategy that's in your work plan to see how to do it virtually? So training the trainer virtually. Better internet connections. Building virtual training and communication skills among staff, excellent. Protocols for HIPAA compliance, for virtual client communication, essential. For folks that have direct client facing work. Interest from providers. Ooh, tech issues and troubleshooting. Doing prep navigation virtually, great. How to hold space with sensitive subject matter online, absolutely. Anything else? Ways to combat burnout, excellent. Methods for staying connected virtually when so much is going on, yep. These are great, thank you. And we'll continue to talk about these and have an ongoing conversation in group site where we can share some tools as well. So next, future sessions. So we're thinking February and March. What do we want to be talking about? What do we want to be thinking about? So the CBA providers got together, we brainstormed, we looked at all of your jurisdictional plans, and a couple things came up as potential focus areas for February and March. So we wanted to dive in a little bit into the topics and see what around these things you all would be helpful for you all. So the first that came up is having a discussion on racial equity or some aspect of racial equity. It's obviously an enormous area. There is a lot to talk about. So a quick poll right now, which aspects of racial equity would be helpful to discuss during a learning community session? So just think about that for a moment. And we can, bring in some great speakers. We can have a facilitator that helps us with holding the space around a very difficult conversation like this. But racial equity itself is an enormous area. There's a lot to unpack there. What aspects of racial equity would be helpful to creating safe spaces to hold tough conversations? Love it. Policies and practices for caring for your staff. Medical mistrust, absolutely. How to point out implicit bias gently. Addressing structural racism within our organizations and institutions. That's one I've been feeling. Any other aspects of racial equity that it would be helpful to discuss, kind of put out there on the table, unpack? Indigenous people being left out of conversations, how to discuss and accomplish structural change. White supremacy. Great. Thank you. And again, we'll continue to discuss this and we'll let you know as we develop the session, kind of where it's going towards, who we're hoping to have as a speaker, if there's any materials that would be helpful to look at in advance of the session, et cetera. How to discuss and accomplish proactive anti-racist plans rather than reactive non-discrimination, how to turn this lens onto our own organizations as we work with programs to address racial issues as well. Great. How to move towards being a more trauma-informed organization. Excellent. So lots more. This will be a continued discussion on the group site. So we'll start with these suggestions and feel free to continue to add when we get there. So we're going to move toward, oh, please go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make mention. I see that medical mistrust is on here, and I love to actually all these topics. I think this is really huge, and don't want to steer this anyway. I just saw Kevin's response in the chat box regarding like so many webinars are happening, right? He's thinking about to the end of the month and the amount of webinars that are happening. I'm just wondering, with this particular one, and I see medical mistrust on here like twice, and I'm just wondering if some of these other topics that can kind of go into that. And I'm wondering if we could maybe make this a joint one, maybe with the EHE folks, since we kind of see many of those folks on this one anyway, and that February will be on medical mistrust. So maybe in the February could be a joint one with maybe with all of the folks participating in the learning communities and the various subs. Can maybe just be a joint one with them, and that way it minimizes the number of webinars that we're doing for that month. But I would just Kevin put out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Anshe, for that thought. One of the things that we will absolutely do as CBA providers is we will look at tools and webinars and other things that are in development and in process of being scheduled and see if some of these themes can be woven in effectively to those. We will also look at the total burden of all the webinars and tools coming out over the next couple of months. The last quarter tends to be kind of active because we're wrapping up the year and things are getting finally published and released. But we will absolutely keep in mind the total burden of things that we're asking you all to participate in and to absorb. So this feedback and this contribution has been extraordinarily helpful. We will really take some time to digest this as the CBA providers.
Just a quick plug about the medical mistrust symposium that we're planning, that we're actually hosting in March. It's March 10th and 11th. So you'll hear more about that. But some of these topics or some of the topics or points that you all laid out here will somewhat be addressed also in that medical mistrust symposium. And it's really looking at how do we use that to effectively like engage communities. And a lot of this here is there, and we really want to take this from a social justice lens when we do that. So it's great to see this. I think it gives me as a track C provider to know like how do we best support, right, our jurisdictions as they're bringing up these particular viewpoints or topics.
Thank you, Anche. And is that open to all or just the EHE jurisdictions, the institute?
Come all, because we're family. We are
awesome. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you. Okay, one final area. So PrEP has definitely come up. It's not something we've talked about during our learning community sessions, but it's come up from a lot of jurisdictions who are trying to do more around PrEP. So which aspects of pre-exposure prophylaxis implementation would be helpful to discuss during a learning community session? Again, PrEP is an enormous umbrella. What specifically around PrEP would be helpful to zero in on or take a deep dive into during a learning community session? This is our last poll, so give it your all. Lack of insurance coverage, awesome. Testing for PrEP. Institutional barriers. PrEP 211. Clear public information about how to pay for PrEP, navigating which PrEP is appropriate, generic versus brand name, Descovy, PrEP DAP programs, linkage and adherence via telehealth. What else specifically about PrEP would be good to dive into? We've all been doing PrEP for a while. What would help us to continue to really advance to our priority populations? Working around COVID restrictions, absolutely. Hard to do stuff in person if we can't get together in person. PrEP outreach for our focus or priority populations. Anything else about PrEP? Great. And so just because we're brainstorming this, it could be that we have a February call on some aspect of racial equity and then March on PrEP, or it could be that as we're analyzing these responses as CBA providers, we might decide, hey, there's so much to unpack around racial equity here. Maybe we'll dedicate 2 sessions to it, or maybe we'll do that, propose that as a focus for a several month sprint starting in April. But we will look at this and analyze and bring your thoughts together and propose to you what we think are the topics for the next couple of months coming up and who some of the presenters might be. And we'll post that in the group site, and feel free to weigh in on that. So just wanted to see, I know we're right near the end of time, just if there's any quick questions overall from anyone before we sign off.
Gary, I just want to check if the PrEP would include PEP. Some people, personal breakup, really wanted to focus on PEP.
Oh, sorry, Jesus, it was cutting in and out for a little bit. Can you just say that again?
When you mention PrEP, does that include PEP?
Yes, absolutely. We can absolutely dive into PEP as well. There is a very clear PEP to PrEP connection especially for cereal peppers. Great. Any other final questions? Thank you all for your contributions today. Thank you all for your thoughts and ideas. We dove in really deep. This has been extraordinarily helpful. And our next step, so between now and the next call, we're going to all be trying to do more in group site. So we'll be posting tons of information from this call, starting new discussion threads in group site based on the information from this call. And we encourage you to ask questions or upload resources, and the community caretakers are available to help you if you have questions or challenges of how to do that. So thank you to our amazing caretakers. And thank you all for your participation today. And we look forward to seeing you virtually through GroupSite over the next several weeks until our next call. Thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your week.